Hi everyone, it's Donna here from Blind and Knitting. Hope you're all well. This podcast is going to be slightly different than we've had over the past with my podcasts. It'll be different for the next month. It is International Blind Awareness Month, October. All of October is for being blind aware. And so I thought it would be really good to do a little section each day, or that's my goal, is to do something each day on my journey through blindness and share my life journey with you for the next month. I just read a statistic that said there are 22 billion people on the planet that have vision problems, vision and low blindness, and so that's a lot of people, and therefore by the grace of God any one of us could wake up in the morning with sight impairment, and not that I would wish that on anyone, but it's a tough journey, and it does bring some huge challenges, and I'm not going to make my podcasts over the next month negative, although I'm going to be real. I want to be really real about some of the really tough stuff, but there's blessings as well within that, and so I can share those as well. So that's my goal each month. So often I will do sewing, crafts, my chooks, homesteading, knitting, mental health. You might still get a little bit of each of that, but once a day I'm going to try and share my journey. So if you have been following me, you will know that I have retinitis pigmentosa, which is a disease. It's a degenerative disease. It's passed on, inherited. My mum had it, and it's a dominant gene, so it's very prolific in our family, sadly. Thank God we've got a sense of humour as well, because that's, you've got to have a sense of humour when you're blind. I can tell you that now, and you'll find out over the next month when I tell you little stories. I'm sure that it's necessary. So it's degenerative, and what it is that we have rods and cones in our eyes, which are our light receptors and our colour receptors, and retinitis pigmentosa basically kills off those rods and cones slowly from the outside in, and you get total blackness. So it is tunnel vision. The average Joe Bloggs has 180 degrees of sight, and I have 5 degrees, which is like looking through between a toilet roll and a straw. So that's, just a little narrow. I can just see that sort of amount, and my mobile phone is ideal. I can see my mobile phone. Every time I watch podcasts on retinitis pigmentosa, it says that it's very rare. But I guess because we've got the dominant gene, I hear about it a lot. And I suppose because, the algorithms of the internet, when you start watching something, it comes up a lot more. So I do hear a lot about it. But they do say it's rare, and I'm not sure. But I suppose the average Joe Bloggs doesn't really bump into a blind person or a very low visioned person very often. And I travel with a guide dog, so she's Kenzie, and I will bring her into this month's worth of podcast because she is part of my journey as well, and she's been a blessing, a trial, and a wonder in my life. I'm looking at her over there. She's sound asleep over there. She is getting to the stage where she's semi-retiring, so that will be part of my journey as well as talking about that. So that's my goal, is to tell you a little bit more about retinitis pigmentosa, to educate you, I'm a firm believer that the more people that understand what it is like to be blind or low visioned, the easier it is on us, because until you're in that position, you really don't know what is needed and how to help. And so I have travelled around, done lots of school talks, lots of preschools, lots of groups and clubs. In fact, I've got one on Monday where I'm talking at our Greater Wellington Regional Council about it, so that the more people that are educated about it, the easier it makes my world. And so I don't mind going around and talking about it at all. It's not a problem. and that's why I thought I would share. There's probably a lot of people that are blind and low visioned that are going to be doing this October sessions, and myself included, obviously. And I lost my thread there, but I will get it back. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. Retinitis pigmentosa, the first signs of it are night blindness. So I remember when I was 25, I had a job as an usher in a picture theatre. And of course I would go up and down in the dark, making sure that the kids at the school, kids movies and that the kids were behaving, or all of those sorts of things, and go up and down with my torch, as we did in those days, up and down the steps, checking on people. And I started to recognise that I wasn't seeing the steps very well, and I was feeling quite unsafe with the steps. And I thought, that's funny. But my mum had retinitis pigmentosa, and so I saw her losing her sight over her life. But it's funny, even though you think, well, I might be going to get this, or the possibility is I'm going to get it, you live in denial, or you live in, I don't even know if denial's the right word. It's just, you just don't, it's not in your thoughts. It's just not part of your thinking when you're young. Okay, your mum's blind and you know that it's hereditary, but you just don't even think about it when you're young. And then all of a sudden you start having these little signs of, oh gosh, could it happen to me? And I could not see my car when I was walking out in the dark to go home after a night shift, and all of those things. And so that was kind of when I really started to notice some true signs that I was clearly had it. And even then, because it was such minor signs, it wasn't devastating. It wasn't I didn't collapse and go, oh my gosh, I'm going to go blind. It was, okay, there's the signs. Okay, let's, we'll just get on with this. And so you get on with life. And I think that probably when the most gutting and the most devastating time for me was more around knowing that my family could have it. And I passed it on to them. And I think that was absolutely devastating for me. Even, it was, okay, I've got it, okay, mum's got it, but I could pass this on to my kids and my grandkids. And that was the most devastating thing at that time. I mean, since then I've had other challenges, like losing my licence, and I'm sure I'll talk about that over the next few weeks as well, and the challenges around that. It's a big pill to swallow. But I think that when I first recognised I started having it, I was in getting on with life and had these little signs. And yeah, so that's kind of the start. It's funny because I started writing a book a few years ago called Does She Take Sugar? And I'm hoping that I'll finish this book. I have ADHD, so whether I do or not, I don't know. But I started it, and I'm about a third of the way through. Excuse me. And the reason I called it Does She Take Sugar is because, as I said, my mum was blind. We would go out for coffees, and we would go to the coffee shop, and people would look at me and ask me if mum took sugar in her coffee, instead of actually looking at mum and asking her. And it used to guile me. It's like, she's right here. She's blind. She's not stupid. And so, yeah, so that's hence the title, Does She Take Sugar? People do treat you differently, and I know they don't intend to, and, I'm sure I've done the same thing with people with disabilities as well. You are treated differently, and that's something that you have to manage as well, and try and be as dignified, I suppose, as possible while you're going through this. Well, that's been my goal, is to try and get to manage this disability with dignity. And that's kind of been my goal. So welcome to October's Blind Awareness Month, and my first podcast on blind awareness. And so you now know what I've got and sort of the early warning signs, and 2.2 billion of you out there. Blind and low vision is on a spectrum, so there is only 6% of us 2.2 billion people that are totally blind, that everything is just black. The rest of us have a spectrum of different amounts of sight. So some people could have more sight, some people could have less. I've got tunnel, but some have hazy fronts, or if it's retinal problems, it's all different. Often the front sight's gone, and you've got some people have good side peripheral sight and no front sight, and they have to sort of look at things like on the side here. Everybody's different, and of those 2.2 billion people, there are so many different people in that spectrum, and so there are very, very few people that are totally blind, and so that's people call it low visioned, blind and low visioned. Being blind, us blindies. I'm low visioned. I have poor vision. Everybody's got a different way of saying it, and none of them's right and none of them's wrong. You've got to find the words that feel comfortable for you and that you're able to say. I just say I'm blind. Sorry, I'm blind to people. People think when I say that I'm totally, I'm not in that 6% people, but I just find that easier than low visioned. I don't know. Everybody's different, and it's not, there is no right or wrong on whether you say you are low visioned, blind, etc. But I say I'm blind because I've only got 5% sight, so pretty much I'm blind. Anyway, I hope that you follow me through this next month. I don't know what times of the day I'll be putting them on. I suspect it'll be totally different times all the time, but I'm going to try and give you something interesting each day on the challenges, the blessings, and the life of living my journey as a blind woman. Catch you next time. Bye.